My name's Glenn Archer, and I am the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Melton Machine and Control Company. We are an engineering integration firm based in Washington, Missouri, and we've been in business for 52 years, and we help companies automate their joining processes, specifically welding and that sort of metal joinery. Our company decided to join BOI over 10 years ago as a way of being constantly improving ourselves and our management team. We are an engineering company. We practice continuous improvement. We're always looking for what's the best edge we can get in the marketplace, and how do we hire the best people, and how do we provide the best solution for customers. So in our case, we've worked with BOI and attend BOI meetings so that we can keep getting better. Our whole thing is we can learn something from other people because they have different experiences and they do different stuff. Although it's all similar in manufacturing, everybody approaches problems differently, and we learn something every time we hear how somebody else solves a problem. It is all of the people that are there coming from different backgrounds. There's a lot of people in BOI are family-run organizations and have multiple generations. There's some companies that have been there, only been in business 4 or 5 years, and you hear different types of solutions to the same problem from people who have different backgrounds, different types of manufacturing, different types of employee groups. And so we get a chance to learn from how they're solving problems, and we can choose if we want to adapt that solution to our problem or not. But at least we can hear different things. One of the problems as an engineer, you solve a problem once, then you think you got it solved, you keep solving it the same way over and over, and when it doesn't work anymore, it's like, well, this has always worked in the past, what do I do now? So it's helpful to hear different perspectives on solving that same problem, and maybe we learn something from somebody else. Like with anything, sometimes you hear a solution, sometimes, that's not quite right for me, but at least I've heard something different. So, one of the things about BOI that the executive team there puts forth is one of the tenets from Stephen Covey about sharpening the saw. And if you keep sharpening the saw when it gets dull, then you can get your work done quicker. And so by going to the BOI meeting, that allows us to improve, get more efficient, do things quicker than we might have done in the past, make decisions easier, and even solve problems quicker. So in many ways, if we go there and we develop ourselves and we get a little better at what we're doing, it's not end up taking time from our thing, we're gaining time throughout the year from what we learn there. So it's an investment in ourselves, it's an investment in our management team, but it also helps us get better at what we're doing so that we don't spend as much time solving those problems down the road. Being a part of BOI has given us the opportunity to be better leaders because we hear our contemporaries in BOI talk about how they solve problems, how they have issues with one particular type of workforce segment or one particular type of problem that comes up. Frequently we'll hear these problems coming from them before those problems come to our facility, and we have to deal with them, so we have an opportunity to be better prepared for that. And when, like with so many companies, employees are looking for their managers to be listening, to have empathy for them, but also lead and be prepared for when things go south, So if we can be prepared for something that's going to be coming, then it gains us more trust with our workforce because they feel that we actually have been thinking about what could go wrong. The pandemic is a great example of that. Nobody projected the pandemic was going to happen, but as we start hearing about people having to shut down and do all these other sorts of things, how are they going to get through it? We had to start coming up with our own program. Well, we had a chance to talk through that with other people through emails that are, in close relationships with other BOI members and say, what are you doing? How are you getting over this? And we come into a solutions quicker than we might have done if we didn't have that cohort mentor group to talk to and figure out ways to solve problems together. Yeah, the connections that we made in BOI have been important to us because a lot of what we do is help people automate, help people use automation to either augment their workforce or to overcome that they can't find enough people to help them grow, They can't hire people, so they got to figure out ways to have automation do some of the work. So we've worked with them and consulted with them to help explain to them how they can do that sort of thing. But in doing that, that's created tighter bonds where we find more about their internal solutions, how they're doing this in manufacturing or how they're solving that problem on their factory floor, and hearing that's really important. Plus, because we have this tighter relationship, we can hear when we're presenting what we think is a solution, we get more critical feedback from them of like, because we're friends, we're working together on stuff. We hear if our message is coming across properly, and that's the kind of feedback you don't get from a typical customer who you make a presentation to, and it's like, hey, that was nice, and like, okay, great. BOI people tend to say, hey, this isn't exactly what, did you really listen to what I was saying? And so there's a much deeper exchange that goes on when we have these discussions. The BOI group is it's not set up as an exchange where each of us try to do business with each other. It's more of like I said, a cohort group where we are talking about problems and solving them together, but not with the primary interest of exchanging, goods and services. However, some of the stuff that we have is of value, and so some of those members have come to us and said, hey, can you help us with this and help us with that? And we've said, hey, we presented, we're not trying to sell anybody anything, but if you need help, we're here to help. And by the same token, we've needed support from others in the past. So we do have this close relationship where we work together on projects. So the favorite part of being in BOI, for me personally, is the exchange of ideas one-on-one with the other members. There's time to listen to presentations, there's time to go through the key things that the BOI executive team wants to present, but there's also time to do one-on-one with all the other members and hear what's really going on for them. What are the things that are keeping them up at night? What are the things that are the pain points that they're working through? And that's not something you can always hear in a presentation, but getting a chance to do one-on-one with fellow executives is really helpful, because then you can find out, do we have those problems? No, we're lucky we don't have those problems, so we need to be continuing to be happy that that's one problem I don't have, so that's always good. Plus, we do have our problems, and we get to share those. So one of the things that is very helpful for us to be a member of this group and have a pretty diverse group of manufacturers in this group, the thing that's helpful for us is that diverse way of solving problems. As I mentioned, we're a bunch of engineers here. And so when we solve something, it's like, okay, that worked, here's what we're going to do from now on. We're always going to solve it this way. And in today's world, that doesn't work as well, because things change constantly and new variables get introduced constantly, and you're constantly on the fly. So hearing how other people go about solving their problems and working through their issues, sometimes we, as engineers, we almost scratch our heads saying, how could you take this and come up with that solution? But that solution worked for them. It's like, wow, maybe we need to take a step back and think about how we're looking at the process, because maybe it isn't as simple as 1 and 1 equals 2. Maybe there's other ways of looking at the problem than that, and some of the people in the group do that, and so it gives us the opportunity to learn from problem solving in ways that are foreign to us. So by having a diverse group of people, you get a lot of different ideas on how to go about solving the same problem.